First, on Tuesday, Colorado Republican voters will choose which one of these five men will take on Senator Michael Bennet in the November election. And joining us to talk about that, as well as developments in the presidential race, Krista Kafer, host of Kelly and Kafer on KNUS 710 AM. I want to make sure I get all that in there. And Joel Warner, a local-based writer with the International Business Times. Thank you both for joining us.
Our pleasure.
So, let's start with the Senate race. There have been no polls about these five candidates, about who might have the advantage, probably because there's not a lot of money in this race to afford something like that. So who has the momentum going into Friday or Tuesday?
You know, I can't even make a prediction. There's no polls. In fact, the polls are often not right anyway. But we've got five solid candidates, and I think any one of them will be fantastic.
I don't know. I think the problem is that no one knows who the frontrunner is. I think it was National Review that said that this is the primary that never was because there's no name recognition and there's very little money for any of these candidates.
So I hear we have five fantastic candidates and five no-name candidates. Where do we meet in the middle?
They're fantastic no-name candidates. No, they're interesting. We've got sort of one moderate, four conservatives. They're all a little bit different stylistically. You have some that are more sort of firebrand, others that are a little bit more mellow. I think all five of them would do very well against the sitting senator.
I think one of the problems, though, is that leading up to this point, there's been multiple challenges for many of these candidates. I mean, three of these five candidates had to struggle to make sure they had enough signatures that were counted to even get on the ballot. You know, two of these candidates basically had to donate $1 million of their personal funds to their campaigns.
So I already heard a bit of this answer from you, Krista. Which candidate, let's look at both sides, which candidate does Senator Michael Bennet not want to face?
Probably Ryan Frazier. He's an exceptional communicator, and I think there's something about young, fresh face, a great communicator, somebody who's conservative but knows how to communicate those ideas and principles in a way that I think everyone can understand.
Joel?
Yeah, I think Ryan Frazier would be a really strong candidate. He has recognition because he's been a TV commentator. He is pretty moderate in his views. He stays away from issues like abortion and gay marriage, focuses on conservative financial issues. The issue with Ryan Frazier is that he doesn't have the best political track record. He tried to get a right-to-work bill passed in 2008. That failed. He tried to unseat Perlmutter in 2010. That failed. He tried to run for mayor of the city of Aurora in 2011, and that failed too.
And he may have the most name recognition lately because he was fighting the longest to make the ballot. Again, name recognition for the wrong reasons, perhaps, but his name was out there.
Yes.
Let's look at the other side. Who does Michael Bennet want to face the most?
You know, I think he would rather not face any of those guys. They're strong, they're good orators, they're principled, they have a lot of backing, and there hasn't been as much nasty mudslinging as we've seen in the past, so I don't think any of them is seriously tarnished.
I have a feeling you might differ on this.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I agree, Krista. I mean, you have someone like Darrell Glenn, right, who was the only candidate who actually got on the ballot at the Republican convention. But he came out with basically no money. Then he had the Senate Conservatives Fund give him money and to support him as a candidate, which might look good. On the other hand, the Tea Party-associated Senate Conservatives Fund associated with the government shutdown in 2013, and they don't have a great track record of picking winners. In 2014, 4 of their 6 Senate candidates lost, and 4 of their 7 House candidates lost. So I don't know.
I might step back and just let this go. I like where this is going. Let's take a quick look at voter turnout as it stands over the weekend with 2 days to go. About 1 in 5 voters have turned in their primary ballots, with Republicans edging out Democrats. And we know more people will drop off their ballots on Tuesday because you have until Tuesday to actually physically bring them in. Is this low turnout right now?
You know, it's a primary election, so you're not going to see the kind of participation that you're going to see at the general level. I also think that there are a lot of people who are satisfied with the 5 candidates, so maybe they sit this one out.
That they want any of them, and so let someone else decide for me?
I'm a registered libertarian. I can't vote, but I would be comfortable with any of those 5.
Does the low, let's just call it turnout, does the current turnout reveal anything about who might win or lose?
I think in some ways probably the low turnout might hurt the Republicans more than Democrats. I mean, let's say one of the more moderate candidates gets to the primary, and they kind of fashion this person is kind of this kind of moderate Republican, similar to Cory Gardner in 2014, and that actually might have some power against Senator Bennet, as we saw in 2014. The issue is you're going to need to have a pretty kind of jazzed up Republican turnout for that to happen. I think right now, thanks to candidate Trump, it's hard to get a lot of excitement going in the Republicans.
Okay, the last question on the U.S. Senate before we move to presidential. You can write a short web headline. What is the headline Tuesday night, Wednesday morning?
Wow, I don't know that I could fill in the name, but I could say wins and is ready to hit the road. How's that?
I don't know. It probably would be including a dumpster fire somewhere. That keeps happening with the primary, so I don't know for sure.
You don't know who's going to win.
But I'm excited nonetheless, because there are a lot of folks that are not going to be voting the top of the ticket unless something changes with Free the Delegates. If we're stuck with Trump, a lot of us are only going to be excited about these down ticket races.
Segue. I don't know how you knew that was coming.
Psychic.
Donald Trump will be in town later this week for the Western Conservative Summit. And as you mentioned, Chris, there's a movement among some Republican delegates here in Colorado to change the rules at next month's Republican convention to allow delegates who are currently bound to Trump to do what they want and vote their conscience, especially after seeing him criticize a judge over the judge's race and mock a reporter with disabilities. Listen to this.
That screams so loudly to me because I've had a son who had disabilities. And what that said to me was it went beyond just the juvenile tactics he was employing. It was telling me he didn't understand the sanctity of life. We have delegates who are Rubio. We have delegates who are Walker. We have Cruz delegates. And we don't have a picture on the box as to who the nominee will be if this works. This truly has to happen this way. We're not destroying the party, we're saving the party.
Now, we're getting into the weeds here about the rules of a convention. So with as simple as possible, how difficult will it be to actually change the rules of the convention?
You know, they are actually free, according to legal and historical precedents, they are actually free. Every single one of these delegates is free to vote their conscience. Convincing them to have the courage to be able to do that is where people like Kendall Unruh and others, they are convincing people that now is the time to act. There is still hope that we can have a candidate who is actually fit for office and can beat Hillary Clinton.
As we saw with the sit-in with the Democrats, are you smacking at the face of what's right and what's been historically the way if you actually try to change what policy is at the last second, or you ignore policy and say, I'm going to do this anyways?
Well, I think you have to give folks like Krista credit who are really kind of trying to vote with their conscience. They're saying, no, I don't just want to kind of get in line. I have very strong opinions about what should happen this election. So I think it's great that these folks are kind of standing on their own and trying to do this. The risk is, as you note, how likely is this to actually kind of transpire? And if it doesn't, how does it look for the election going forward? If there are attempts to break ranks with the Republicans and it fails, how does that look come November?
30 seconds total for the both of you for this answer. What does it take for the purple state of Colorado to choose Trump or Clinton?
Wow, what a crazy question. I don't know how it's going to happen. Two horrible candidates and one baffled baffled electorate.
Joel?
I think it's going to take something pretty extreme on either side to really have the state swing from one of the candidates or the other. I think right now, Hillary Clinton has the advantage.
Lastly, real quickly, is there any chance Trump does not leave the convention as the nominee?
I am banking on that. Let's hope that the delegates have the integrity to do the right thing.
Wow. Joel, will we
It'll be
have
fascinating
Trump?
to see if that happens.
All right. Predictions you heard first on Politics Unplugged. Stay with us. Thanks to Joel and Krista for joining us. We'll be right back.